are really great. We're really grateful for this opportunity to reach out to so many of you who've been impacted by the recent government shutdowns. So with me today are two fantastic co-facilitators. First, I'll introduce myself. I am a leadership and transition coach. My background is in change management and leadership development. And I've been volunteering with the Career Gateway program for about almost 15 years now, a wonderful experience. So I want to ask my co-facilitators to introduce themselves. Roberta, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Yes, thank you, Barbara. Good morning, everyone. My name is Roberta Miceli. I am an executive leadership coach and facilitator, and I love helping people grow as leaders and pivot into new careers.
Great. Thank you so much, Roberta. John, please introduce yourself.
Good day, everyone. I am John Collins, and I am not here in my normal job, which I am on admin leave and received my RIF notice from USAID. But I'm also part of a group of pro bono coaches and facilitators supporting our colleagues as they go through career transitions. I am also a leadership coach as well. And I am really looking forward to the opportunity to spending the next hour and a half with all of you. Barbara, back over to you.
Thank you so much, Roberta and John. We've had a good time putting this together for you all. So let me give you a brief overview of our agenda this morning. Step in, step up, step out. Step in means to look inward and focus on your resilience. We'll have an exercise for you as to how to do that. Step up. Roberta will be taking you through a little short process to develop your pitch so that you can present yourself with confidence. Step out. John will show you his strong plan and a process for making an effective presentation of your achievements. And this will help you make steady progress in your job search. So with that, we are going to, I want to say a couple things just before I go to the next part. One, we'll provide you a link to all the resources that we mention in our time with you together this morning. And John, Roberta, and I will stay on this Zoom for about 15 minutes, give or take, afterwards. Should any of you want to stay and chat with us a little further and ask questions and so on. Although you can put questions in the chat, because there are going to be over 100 of you this morning, we won't have time during this session to actually take your questions, but we will try to notice them and fold that into our talk, but also we will stay at the end to address anything like that. And I would just want to say that as we go through the session this morning, if there is something that stands out for you, something you want to remember, something that strikes you during the time that when we're talking about it, please jot it down. There will be a couple of reflection times where you can also jot things down. So you might want to have two things handy. One is your phone so that you can take a picture of what's on the slide and have that to refer to, but also so that you can go with the exercises that we have this morning. So Justin, with that, could you put up the poll for us, please? We have a poll for you all this morning about how you're coming into this Zoom room. Hopefully you can all see that poll now. Put thumbs up if you can see it. Can everybody see that? Great. Okay, so you're already populating this poll. So on the one hand is stressed, and on the other hand is hopeful. Some of you may feel a mix, so you might be more in the middle, but we want to know where you mostly are this morning. What kind of mood are you sort of walking into this workshop this morning? So looks like we're kind of all over the map here. It's kind of like a bell-shaped curve a little bit here, isn't it? Very interesting. I think most of you seem to have populated this. We've got 84% participation. Excellent. So we know, while we're still looking at the poll, we know that people over 50 have an additional layer of challenges in looking for jobs in this very, very tight, difficult market. We recognize that. We also know that with the right tools and some practice, that you will be more successful in a job hunt and hopefully find a job, and a job that you will love. So this really is a bell-shaped curve, and we do see some of you are way up high on the stress list. We hope that this morning you'll be able to take a few deep breaths and dive into a little bit of this effective practices to help you guide you and help you through this job hunting process. So I'm going to end the poll here. So John, can you take that poll down for us, please? John, can you take it down?
I
I think
Thought
the
I
poll
just-
should be down, shouldn't it?
thought it was down.
Yeah,
So-
poll's down. Just X out
Okay.
of it.
Okay, got it. Thank you so much. All right. So we are going to now step in to focus on your resilience. Because we are all over 50, we didn't get here without facing some really tough times in our lives. Excuse me. Most of us have faced some kind of adversity, some of us much more than others. So we are already resilient. We already have been employing coping tools during our lives. So the first exercise here, and we're going to do a breakout in a moment where you're going to have the opportunity to share a little bit with other people. And what we want you to focus on as you think through when you've focused on it, when you've gotten through a tough situation, is what coping skills did you actually use? What's your coping style? What's your skill? How could that skill help you now? And what else could you do? So we are not so much interested in what the tough time was. We recognize that you've all had them, and some of them have been very tough. But what we want to focus on and what we'd like you to share is what coping skills did you use? How could that skill help you now? And what else could you do? Jody, can you break them into trios? And you will have, what did we say, 8 minutes to share with each other. So say hello, and then somebody go first about what's your coping skill? How can that help you now? And what else could you do? So you have 8 minutes with a 1-minute warning. That means each of you has roughly 2 minutes to talk. So be sure that everybody gets a chance to share.
And Barbara, someone asked, breakout rooms are not recorded. So you can, don't worry.
Okay.
Yes, someone had asked that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to rate the rooms.
Okay, so when you're invited to go into your room, be sure
Mhm.
to accept that room and then share with each other. It's a gift that you give yourself as well as each other to be sharing like this, because this is part of the process, is to be in community together.
Okay, so I'm opening all the rooms, and I'm going to give you guys 8 minutes, and then you'll have 60 seconds to wrap up.
We want 60 seconds at the 7-minute mark.
Okay.
Great. So please accept your room.
When they all pop in. Okay. Everyone is back, Barbara.
Okay, excellent. So I hope that was, I know it was brief, it's never long enough, but I'm interested if some of you would please put, what skill did you recognize that you used for coping in the chat? Just write the skill, whatever it was. What is your typical coping skill? And some people may think about what else they could have done. So listening, communication, network, defining what you can control and focus on that. I love that. Good. Celebrating accomplishment, exercise, one day at a time, always a good motto. Getting organized, learning, exercise, strategic planning. Wow, good. Fearless. I love it. Yes, sometimes we have to remind ourselves that we're fearless or that what we fear is not doesn't have to be an obstacle. Definitely networking, talk to family and friends. Excellent. Yes, service to others. Thanks so much for that one. Small goals, good idea too. All right, you guys are already very resilient. So stay in touch with former mentors. Excellent. All right. So I think that you all really recognize that you already have excellent coping skills and that you would think about the ways in which those skills can help you get through this now. Sometimes it's just reminding ourselves that we actually have this skill and this capability. So now I want to turn this over to Roberta, who is going to take us through a process. Oh, you're still putting your skills in there. Thank you so much. You guys are amazing. So I'm going to turn this over to Roberta, who will take you through a process to help you present yourself with confidence on developing your pitch. Roberta?
Thanks so much, Barbara. So now we're going to move into helping you develop your pitch. And the reason we're doing this is to help you leave this workshop with at least the start of one tool that you can use as you move forward in your job search. So the first question you might have is, why is your pitch important? The first reason is it makes a great first impression. If you take the time to hone and think about your pitch and customize it to your audience, you're pretty much guaranteed to make a fabulous first impression. It also allows you to have the opportunity to highlight whichever skills or experience or expertise that you want to highlight for that particular situation. And following up on the particular situation, once you've developed it, you can adjust it and make it multi-purpose. You can use it at networking events. You can use it when you're at a one-on-one informational interview. You can use it when you're at a conference. It's just a super powerful tool to help you get very clear on what it is you want to share about yourself and then make that great first impression. So how do you do it? First of all, when you develop your pitch, it has to be short. In this day and age, our attention span is not very long, and the pitch has to be short, 30 to 45 seconds and no more. Secondly, it's really great to make it be personal and to customize it to your situation. For example, if you're going to meet someone about a company that you're interested in learning more about, you would customize it to that situation. It also needs to be impactful. It either needs to tell a story, it needs to have compelling data, and for both of those, it needs to come from your heart. I've had the fortunate experience to be working with someone who was RIF from USAID, and one of the pitches that she has developed is a very compelling data about how she was able to improve efficiency with getting medicine where it needed to be. And finally, it has to be confident, you have to be clear, you have to be concise, and you have to be proud. So now let's take a minute. Let's just take a couple of minutes and have you take time to think about two questions. I want you to think about, first of all, what makes you unique as you're moving into this period where you're looking for new opportunities? And secondly, what do you want people to remember about you? So I'm going to set my timer for 2 minutes, and I'll give you 2 minutes to just think about these two questions. And after 2 minutes, I'll give you the next instruction.
Roberta, do you want them to share in chat? Or
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. They're just thinking and writing.
Okay.
Thinking and writing for 2 minutes. Okay, now please share in chat just 1 or 2 words about what makes you unique. Enthusiasm, strategic and practical, connector and a coach, breaking silos, driven, tenacity, perseverance, reliable, to gratitude, to be grateful, building bridges, international experience, passionate, exceeds expectations, connecting, a lot of connecting here. Coalition builder, Arabic speaker, details guy, reliable, problem solver, caring, connecting, French speaker, cross-cultural experience, efficient, career coach, Latin minor. Cool. I took Latin in high school too. Thoughtful, mentor, coach, and teacher, flexible, able to coach, empowering teams. All right, thank you so very much for sharing. And thank you for giving yourself time to start thinking about these important questions. Now we're going to go on and give you one template for developing your pitch. Again, we are giving you one example of something that is possible. If you have another one that you prefer, please use that one. We are trying to make sure that you leave this workshop with one tool in your toolbox that you can continue to tweak. So the questions above the line are the three top questions that we're recommending that you think about when you develop your pitch. Who are you? What are you interested in, or what are you looking to do? And then what is your background and what makes you memorable? So you see the connection to the question we just asked. And then if you have done research, if you have the opportunity to do the research, what do you know about the organization and or the person that you're talking to? And then finally, what is your ask? What do you want from the person? And now we'll give you an example of a pitch that I actually did. I was interested in becoming a mediator. And so before I went down that road, I did some meetings and informational interviewing with people to see if it was a good fit and to learn more about it. So I'm gonna give you my pitch. And what I want you to do is I'd love you to listen and pay attention to these 4 things. Is it short? Is it personal? Is it impactful? And am I confident when I'm presenting? And you don't have to share the results of your evaluation, and you are more than welcome to share the results of your evaluation in the chat. So here's my pitch. Hi, my name is Roberta Miceli, and I'm interested in learning more about what mediators do. And it's so great to meet you today, Sarah. I have over 25 years of experience in various senior leadership roles, and I'm currently an executive leadership coach. And I love helping individuals and teams grow and resolve conflict. I read your articles in the newsletter, and the ones on intergenerational conflict really piqued my curiosity. And I'm wondering if you can tell me a little bit more about what it's like to be a mediator. Okay, so anybody who wants to evaluate, go ahead and put it in chat. And while you're doing that, we will move on to the next slide, which is now your turn. So now what we'd like you to do is, for the next 4 minutes, we would like you to develop your pitch. And if you can only develop above the line, that's completely fine. Who are you? What are you interested in? And what is your background? If you have someone or some organization in mind that you want to use this pitch for, then go ahead and also add, what do you know about the organization and what is your ask? So I'm going to turn on my timer for 4 minutes. And we would love for you to develop your pitch. And let's start now. For seeing that example in the chat. Now we're going to give you time to actually share your pitch with a partner. We're going to put you in breakout rooms of 2 people each. And what I would like is for each of you first, have each person give their pitch. And while the person is giving the pitch, the other person should be paying attention to what went well. And then after both people have given the pitch, share the feedback of what went well. So Jody, I think we're ready to have everyone go into breakout rooms. This will be 5 minutes, and you'll get a message letting you know when you have 1 minute 1 minute left. So have fun.
Okay, I've opened up the rooms. Okay. They have.
Oop, they're taking every last second.
I've
Good,
got 40 seconds.
It's a good sign.
good sign.
Mm. Okay, they're all back.
Thank you. Thanks, Jody. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for being courageous and jumping in and doing your pitch. As Barbara reminded me, it's really great if you can give yourself the opportunity to practice this. The more you practice, just like everything, the smoother it goes. And the great news is now you have one practice under your belt. So what I'd like you to do as we close out this part of our workshop is share in the chat one or two words about what went well. Feedback. Awesome. Good hook. Genuine connection. Ideas flowing. Fabulous. Clearly being clear. Specific. Hearing how it sounded. Realizing you need to practice more. Again, more feedback, an excited partner. That's great. Always great to have a good partner. Again, more good feedback. And reducing your anxiety, absolutely. The more you practice it, the more automatic it can become. Giving you the opportunity to focus your message, absolutely. Felt more natural. Woohoo, we'll take the compliment. Awesome. So glad it felt natural. That is so important, to be authentic. Okay, well, again, thank you so much for developing a pitch that you can play around with. And now I'm going to turn it over to Barbara.
Okay. Wow, you guys are doing great already. Just great. And I want to underscore the notion that Roberta was talking about practice, practice, practice. That's really wonderful. Now we're going to take like a really quick little energy break. That may have energized you to share your pitch a little bit. For some, it may have been more challenging than others, but the more you practice, the better you'll be, as we said. So now I want to remind you, because we all know these things, but we just need a quick reminder and refresher about how important it is, particularly when we're a little older. We want to show up at our best, with our best energy when we need to. So we need to pay attention to our energy. So in order to do this, one way to think about energy is in different aspects of it. There is our physical energy, which is actually how much energy we have, and our emotional energy, which is the quality of energy we have. Is it coming from the heart? Is it a smooth energy or a jittery energy? What kind of energy are we projecting? It's the quality of our energy that has the emotional content. Then there's our mental energy, and we all recognize when we are scatter-minded and we lose our focus, or it's hard to stay focused on something. So that kind of energy is our mental energy. And then there is probably our grounding energy, the force of our energy, or the intensity of our energy, which is our spiritual energy. So for each of these, there are different quick ways we can kind of refresh our energy or recalibrate our energy. So physical is the quantity of energy we have. And right now, I urge you all to just experiment a little bit with me for your physical energy. If you put your hands in the air, yes, and move around a little bit as comfortable for you. Don't do anything that isn't comfortable. And maybe take a few deep breaths. Maybe just as if you were kind of swimming out there, kind of just moving through the air. Wonderful. Oh, that's so good. Take a few deep breaths. That is so great. This is something you can do to kind of recalibrate your energy anytime. The emotional quality of your energy. Many of you in the chat have said you like to reconnect with someone who's important to you, someone you care about. This is a great way to reconnect to your emotional energy and recalibrate your emotional energy. Your mental energy. Sometimes when we're focused, say, on writing a cover letter or revising our resume, we find ourselves pretty scattered. When that happens, one of the ways in which you can calm yourself and get yourself back into a more focused place is to change what you're doing. Take a break, take a breath or two, take a breather, take a walk. That will help you refocus your energy. Honestly, if you just try to push through it, it will not help you as much as taking a break from it. And for your spiritual energy, many of us find spiritual grounding in our faith, our family, our friends, whatever it is that provides the grounding and force of your energy. It is mostly reconnecting with remembering your purpose and aligning with your values to make sure that those things are working for you and that you have them in mind. So what kind of energy do you think you focus on most? Just ask yourself in this moment. What kind of energy do you think you're most aware of? Some of you in the chat said that you get outside, you walk, you run for your resilience answers. And that's also a very good thing to do. So what kind do you focus on the most? And what actually do you maybe want to pay a little more attention to? Just jot that down for yourself. What do you feel like might help you a little bit more through this process and help you show up at your best when you need to? Because that's an important piece. If we're older, we need to come across as having energy and enthusiasm. And many of you have already identified that as a quality that makes you stand out. So remember that for all of you. What do you want to pay more attention to? So thank you for walking through that with me. I now want to turn it over to John, who is going to walk you through how to make steady progress with a strong plan. John?
Thanks, Barbara. I needed that stretch. That was really good for me. And Roberta, thank you so much for the pitch. And we'll be using these pieces as we move forward. I don't know about all of you on the call. I think for myself, I was suddenly faced with a career pivot that I wasn't planning. And I suddenly had to realize that certain plans I thought I had needed to be adjusted. And I think that can sometimes create chaos. We can feel unsettled. We can feel, I know I did. And it's sometimes then easy to get distracted or feel like I have to be doing this and feel overwhelmed with all the things that are coming at us. And so to help myself as well as to help all of us, we wanted to share today kind of how to help design a strong plan that's individual for each of us. What do each of us need to feel like we have the confidence and I think as Barbara was saying, those right energies to really be able to move forward and be successful in these career pivots that we're facing today. And so we just want to present a framework about which we're calling a strong plan. This can be, if you need it to be a daily plan or a weekly plan or whatever time frame it works for you, but mostly we'll go over that framework with you now. So first off, for that strong plan, you need to start with self. How are you taking care of yourself? What do you need for your mental, physical, emotional well-being, aligning with that energy that Barbara was just talking about? What do you need in terms of taking care of yourself, in terms of your health, your nutrition, those aspects, but also those emotional and mental well-being? The next part of that plan is, what is your target for today? What are your goals? What do you need to achieve? And that's going to change and vary depending on your needs, whether they be personal, whether they be professional. And that's going to change as you evolve through your transition planning. Last week when I got my RIF letter, it was something like, I need to do this and this. Then the next day it was, I need to talk to my family, right? There's different things that come, and it's going to change, and it's going to depend on what did you need today? What is your goal for today or this week that will help you to feel like you're able to move forward and get the things done that help you be able to see that progress that you want to make. The next part of the strong framework is a routine. Many of us have been used to a very structured routine that was maybe determined by our employment, by our agency, by our team, the job demands. What is our routine now as we're moving through a transition, as we're moving through the career pivots? What is the routine that you need to set that allows you to take care of yourself, your goal, but also the other aspects of those, both personal and professional? I have a coaching client right now, and she was telling me, really, she has young children, and she is using this time in the pivot where she blocks off 2 hours in the afternoon every day when her kids get home from school to engage with them. And again, that is now part of her routine during this transition. And so there is no one size routine. There are different things you might see on LinkedIn or other places, but really it's determining what is the right routine for you as you're managing and moving through this transition. The next part of our framework is opportunities. What are the opportunities that you see around you? Are you taking a moment to look for opportunities around you? Are there opportunities that may be there that we may not be taking advantage of? And so again, it's taking that intentionality to look for those opportunities that are emerging around us each day. The next part of our framework is, how are we nurturing our relationships, our network? Often we think about, are we contacting people in our professional network? Are we reaching out to people on LinkedIn? Are we reaching out to our professional network? I would recommend really looking beyond just a professional network, but what are those personal relationships? What are those family, friends, college roommates, people that you worked with years ago that maybe you've lost touch with? Nurturing those relationships and ensuring those are being strengthened as you move through this process. And the last part of this strong framework that we wanted to focus on is, how are you looking at gaining skills? How are you looking to grow? And here I'll use another example for myself. I am not the best cook. Food is something that that looks good. And I've been trying to work on making dinners for my family. When they get home, when my wife gets home from work or my kids get home, they'll be home in a couple hours from their after school activities. And I will say, sometimes my cooking skills, my kids think, Dad, good job, you tried. And other times like, Dad, that actually tasted good. but it's an opportunity for me to try new things that I was so busy, maybe focused on other aspects of things that I didn't take time to learn new skills. So again, how are you gaining skills and continue to grow both personally and professionally? And so this is a framework that we wanted to share with you as you're moving into this stage, to kind of take some of the chaos, to give yourself a centering and a plan as you move forward. And we would like to know, what part of this is resonating with you right now? What part would you feel is an area you would like to focus on that would help you as you move forward in your transition? And we're asking if you wouldn't mind putting that in the chat for us. We'd love to see that, where you're at with that. A routine, target, nurturing in your relationships, and really using this framework. Today it might be one thing, tomorrow or next week it might be a different piece. And really it is there, and we'll be sharing this with you in the reference documents that we'll be sharing after the session, which will have some questions and a worksheet that you can use as you see appropriate in your case. Skill building and the sense of purpose, the relationship with family, gaining AI skills. We're going to talk about that a little bit next. And really, Jody and her team, I've also prepared another session later this month about resume building and AIs. And we really encourage people to register and participate in that program. Opportunities, the routine, setting targets. What are the new opportunities about being self-employed instead of depending on others? Again, this is thinking through, what does this apply to you? And thank you for feeling overwhelmed. And again, take these pieces that will help you to feel more grounded and more prepared to step out as you engage on this transition. And so thank you for sharing these in the chat. And we will be saving these and sharing these out. So as we were talking, but now that we have a plan and we feel a little more grounded, what are some tools that we can use to help ourselves as we're moving forward with our career pivots? So I don't know about many of you. I will have to admit that my LinkedIn profile said employed at USAID for 15 years and so many months. And that was the extent of my LinkedIn profile. I had not invested in LinkedIn. I had not invested in many of the tools. I was being overwhelmed as I was reading things about AI and the different things. And so again, I'm going to put a plug in for Jody and her team. They're going to be doing a much more in-depth, deep dive into using these tools for your resume building. But we just want to put out here as a reminder, AI is a tool. The LinkedIn is a tool. And really, it can be used there as a resource and an asset as you're looking at your career pivot. I'm just going to share a couple of examples for myself. As I was telling Barbara and Roberta as we were preparing this session, there's so much coming in that I was sharing some of my examples of public service language that I use in my agency and with my colleagues. Use words that made no sense to them. They were lost as I was talking, because we have certain language and phrases and terms that we use within maybe the public sector, within our agencies, within our teams, our divisions, that may not translate outside. And really, AI is a way to help us to translate that language into private sector verbiage, to help us understand and look for that language to help us better communicate and transmit our skills, our resources, our experience into a language that they understand and they can see the direct linkage with those jobs that we might be applying for. Another area that I found it to be really helpful is in helping us as we're thinking about consolidating our experience and documenting it and having a record of our roles, our experience, the achievements. And one tool that is really, and that I found to be helpful as I've been thinking through my last 15 years that I'm now trying to add into my LinkedIn profile is the SAR model. And we'd like to spend a little bit of time today looking at the SAR model, which focuses on the situation, the action, and the result. And the situation focuses on what were the problems, the challenges, the issues that you were focused on, that you were working on addressing, that you were contributing to in your role, whether in previous positions, in your current position, that you maybe performed this year, last year, 10 years ago. What were those problems, challenges, or issues that you were addressing? And then thinking through really more, what were the actions that you did? What were the steps that you took? How did you contribute? How did you engage in addressing those problems or challenges? And lastly, what were the results? What were those outcomes? What was the impact or what changed? What difference resulted in the work that you did to address that challenge or situation? And this is a model that then helps the private sector, recruiters, and others see directly, go beyond maybe an AI generated phrase of impact to an actual ability to see you as an individual and the work that you've done and contributed. And so we'd like to move into just an example that I did. And this one is first had a lot of verbiage in it when I first did this. And when I talked about Foreign Service nationals, my colleagues, and others. But really, one of the challenges that we needed to work on was we were having issues of our training budgets. And we had a lot of fragmentation across our missions and the region that I was working in. And we weren't really seeing it connected to performance improvements. And so that was the situation we were working on. And so really what we then did was really worked on identifying the challenges, identified internal resources, designed new program with on-the-job training, with mentoring and coaching, that we were then able to directly link to job performance and contract and award management. We then were able to pilot it for 110 staff. We were able to identify reduced training costs, but then we were also directly able to measure connections with job performance. And so this is what I kind of tried to work through. And then this became the bullet in the CV. If we can see the last. So developed an on-the-job training program that reduced training costs and improved job performance. To take several months of work and putting it into a consolidated bullet to help someone understand and see that relationship to the work that they are also looking to achieve in their own company, business, or field. We now would like to ask you to think through a situation, action, result. To take one example from your one experience that you're really proud of. One action that you feel like in this position, in this role, I am really proud of the work that I was able to do here. And we want to give you about 4 minutes to write down what were the actions that you did. Write down what were those key actions that you did, what your role was to help achieve that part. I'm going to give a 2-minute warning because sometimes we might get stuck on that action part. But we really want to push you also then to go into the results. What were the results that transpired as a consequence of your engagement? What did you see change? This is one of the harder parts. And we really would like you to take some moment to think through those results. And then we're going to ask those who might be willing to share after our 4 minutes to either share in the chat or to come off mute and share it with the group. So we'll be looking for some very kind volunteers to share their SAR example with the rest of us. All right, I will now be silent and put my timer on for 4 minutes, but then I will give a 2-minute warning to encourage you to transition from action to result. Thanks.
What they did and is more generic, because sometimes in the federal government, it's like team lead specialist number 4. And, somebody who's, even if it's a human, not AI, they're like team lead specialist number 4, as opposed to number 3 or number 6, but just to help them figure out what was it you actually did, and then have that description be the title.
That's an interest. Someone had an interesting.
Yep. Mark's
Yeah.
recommendation in the chat is, and actually that is a suggestion, is to do a search of position descriptions of jobs that you're interested in, put them into ChatGPT, ask it to give you the competencies, ask you to give you the words, and it can do that, and it can help you then integrate and see how you can integrate that into your own resume. And I love the word cloud idea from Mark. I've not done that, but I think I might have to try that now. And so before we do transition into some of the questions and more discussion, would any of you on the call, would you be willing to come off mute or share in the chat your situation action results, your SAR example?
I'll go.
Thank you.
So, Mark Austin, I'm a former USAID after 25 years, but one of the things that I highlight in some of my discussions is that I was responsible for a lot of programming in the Asia region, and one of our offices in one of the countries was very small, and for 2 years they had been unsuccessful in coordinating a grant proposal for a significant amount of funds from something called the Pandemic Fund. And so I was pulled in to sort of facilitate and build that coalition across the donors so that we could actually get a successful proposal written. I stepped in after lots of engaging phone calls, kind of coordinating the various technical experts across the different organizations and NGOs and things like that. Combined and edited down the proposal document to the point where we submitted a successful proposal, and for the first time in 3 years, were awarded a grant, a multi-million-dollar grant. So one of my monikers is that I'm a coalition builder to get things done.
Mark, thank you for sharing that. So again, that situation of the challenge, the blockage that was happening, your work to build the coalition, to bring the group together, to bring the research, the evidence, the writing, and then successfully getting that grant application approved. All of those are valuable skills that the private sector want. And I am also from USAID, so I was looking for the USAID speak. And I noticed you didn't talk about some of the words that we often use in the space. So I was wondering, Barbara or Roberta, did you have any feedback for Mark as well?
I think he did a great job explaining it. When you're actually doing that in an interview or something, you just want to be crisp and clear and concise. And often I advise my clients to be very brief about explaining the situation, action, result in an interview, and then ask if anybody would like more info. If the interviewer would like more information, you're happy to go into any detail. So you just stay at the high level, and then if they want to explore further, you can add that.
agree with everything that's been
Rebecca.
said. Sometimes with some of my clients, they have found that leading with the result and then talking about the action, the situation, and then the action is also another strategy. So in your case, leading with you successfully competed for the grant, and then talk about what the situation was in the action.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, always lead with the important point. And people, that's the hook to get people's interest, to grab their attention.
Is there anyone else who'd be, thank you, Mark. Thank you for doing and being willing to step forward and share your example. Thank you. We really do appreciate it. Would anyone else be willing to come off mute or come on video and share their turn at trying the SAR model? TMH.
Camera. Thanks. So I put my example in the chat, and one thing that would be helpful to hear from you about is, how to come up with numbers and metrics for things, because, a lot of times we don't necessarily measure these things. We don't know. We feel like we know from our experience things are true, but I can't tell you by 30% we did this or increased, performance by this amount. But my example was, I transformed a center with a flat organization and 40 staff members by developing a middle management leadership structure, led strategic retreats, and improved team management practices, enhancing employee performance and accountability. So my challenge there was I came up with the 40 staff members. I felt like that was a number so people could tell, like, that's an issue. If you have a flat organization with 40 people, one person can't manage 40 people. But in terms of that enhancing performance and accountability, like I don't have any metrics for that, other than knowing that happened. I can't, and I no longer work there, so I can't look at, the PMAP ratings changed from 4.5 to 5, So anyway, just thoughts on that. Thanks.
Thank you for sharing that. And I think that is something that many of us in federal service, and also as our websites and the data may be gone now, our reports and so forth. So that data may not be there. And so it does require us to think through, okay, how can we communicate our impacts in maybe a different way? We may not have exact numbers. I was looking at in terms of FEBS result surveys, we were able to improve our employee engagement scores. And I couldn't say by how much, but I said we improved our employee engagement scores. Now, I'm sure if I had a number that would be better, I don't want to feel like I'm lying. And so I do try to be a little bit more conservative myself. But I'm going to ask Barbara and Roberta also for their opinion, because I think they have been working with many clients in this regard of how to demonstrate that impact. Barbara and Roberta, do you mind if I put you on the spot?
No, we love to be put on the spot, John. One tip is the Partnership for Public Service does publish the Federal Employee Viewpoint Survey results. So you can go to that resource, that's publicly available, and use that resource if you're no longer able to access your own data. The other thing I would say is with my clients, I spend time really getting to understand and know exactly what it is they did, and just digging deep with them, asking really good questions so that they themselves then are able to come up with, again, what they know to be true in terms of quantitative results, many times not using numbers, instead using words like significant or doubled or those types of words, so that they're signaling to the individual that it was a big deal. I think the other thing I work a lot on is putting yourself in the interviewer's shoes. What do you want them to come away with? What do you want them to understand? And if it is you want them to understand it's a big deal, then even if you don't have numbers, there are ways to use words to describe that, such as significant, doubled, tripled, those types of words. Barbara, over to you. What else to add?
I agree with all of that. And, this is actually not limited to the government. There's often similar situations, even in the private sector. So don't worry so much. Have a good story to tell. Maybe an anecdote about a leader who said, I was able to get the project done on time for the first time in a long time. So that made all the difference. There are ways in which you can tell a good story to illustrate the difference you made. So with that, John, do you have anything else that you want to add here?
No, I want to thank everyone for being able to share it, and all those that are in the chat as well. And we will continue to stay on after the call as well to answer more questions. And we will be sharing out those resources with links and other resources to help you as you navigate some of this space.
Great.
All right.
Thank you so much. And I'm going to share with you in a moment a couple of slides that'll give you some information about what we've been talking about. So if you want to have your phone or camera handy to take a picture so you can have it right in hand, it will also be in the resource kit we're going to give you the links for. So here's a quote from the great Margaret Mead. If any of you don't know who she is, I think you probably all do, but if you don't, look her up. She said, "We are continually faced with great opportunities which are brilliantly disguised as unsolvable problems. There's always a way through." And we just want to remind you of that there's some solution out there. It may be something that you haven't yet thought of, but it'll be out there. So here is the next workshop that John was alluding to. It's a free workshop again. There are different tools and how to use AI to reshape and reinvigorate your transition from the federal to the private sector. It's going to be Wednesday, April 23rd, 9 to noon on Zoom. You can learn more and register at the link below. Go to JCA and you can find these workshops on JCA. So hopefully you've got, there's a link I think in the chat as well. And we want to encourage you to connect with us. The three of us who are co-facilitating with you today can be reached through our emails that you see on the screen, and we are happy to follow up with you and try to give you direction, guidance, answers to your questions, whatever we can do to help you. The resources are posted in a couple of different ways here. There's Google Docs, there's a link here, and then there's a, like a folder that has all the information in it, all the backup information, more about how to develop your strong plan, more about what a SAR is, more about Roberta's pitch process. She's offering a whole worksheet collection that helps you walk through each of those steps. The Career Gateway itself offers I think 5 or 6 cohorts a year now. The next one is in June. The dates are here. There are 5 days. They're not quite consecutive. It's like every other day, 9 to 4, a full day. It's an interactive Zoom course. I can tell you that I've never heard a bad word about it. It is really helpful. It is really provides you with an in-depth experience of how to do this for yourself. And you can find out more through Career Gateway on the jca.org website.
And Barbara, just want people to know that typically there is a $75 registration fee for the 5-day program, but we have scholarships available to anyone who needs assistance. So do not let the $75 fee, deter you from joining. So we are happy to provide that.
Also, I need you to know, I've been working with this program for, as I said, almost 15 years. They do a fabulous job, and it is subsidized by grants that they get. It is well worth the small amount here that they charge to just keep it going. So these are resources that are available to you. And now we have a few minutes left for you to either write in the chat, or we are happy to hear out loud if you want to just pop up and tell us, what are you taking away from this presentation? What is the one takeaway that you want to remember, remind yourself, what stood out for you that you'd like to share with others? It is always, always a help to know what made an impression on you. Is there a limit to anyone who can be in the chat? There's a question there. Yeah, there is a limit. So you're going to want to get in touch with JCA to find out when the next available class is. Okay, communicate assets and impacts clearly. Now people are answering their takeaway. Practical advice, we'll be able to get a copy to send to others. Yes, it's in the resource kit. The strong plan made an impression. Practicing pitch and paying attention to energy. SAR, great. These were helpful tools, I think. A strong sense of community. Love that. It's so important. Background includes improv training, so I often wing it. Today reminded me about practice and prep. Yes. But improv work is also really great because that's often true when you're in an interview. You get put on the spot. Having that training is wonderful. Organizing one's work experience and measurable outcomes, importance of networking and the pitch. Yes. What else? Does anybody want to say out loud what they got? I can't see you, so just unmute yourself and tell us. Self-care. Yeah, I can only say that self-care all along the way needs to be focused on. Take care of yourself so that you can take care of what you need to with others, for yourself. Carl Anderson has raised his hand. Would you like to say something out loud, Carl?
Yeah, I feel that I have to, based on my own experience, and I just put it in the chat as well. Look, I think this has been great, and I think you got, the SAR thing is perfect. It really is. A couple of stats though that I just wanted to share. I think it's still true that 85% of the jobs you will get, particularly at the senior level, are likely to be done through networking. So I think the resume stuff is really important. AI, of course, is key. But boy, those networks are important. And I will share with you now something that I think we really, really, really need to discuss. And sorry to be so passionate, but in my experience in working some of those networks is, this is not just for those of us in USAID, particularly at the senior levels, over 50 years old, over 60 years old in my case. This is not just, oh, well, we had to move on. There are serious, and I would underscore serious reputational harm that has come from the highest levels in the private sector, as well as in the public sector and in political leadership against our agency. Some of us on the call have been called, the leaders of this criminal conspiracy and so forth. I have done informational interviews at nonpartisan think tanks, and that's the first question I get raised. Oh, so were you part of the craziness that went on over there? I also know other people who were members of boards who removed themselves because of their past experience in USAID, so not to harm the agents or the entities from which they were, serving on the board for. So the only thing I would say is, and I apologize for my passion and long-windedness, is that I think you guys really need to, many of us were not just kind of let go. This is akin more to a scandal. How do you react when the reputation, at least among some in this country, is so poor and arguably scandalous? So I really think we need to focus on that. That's my experience.
Yeah, Carl, thank you so much for that perspective. It is true for many of you, as your experience is telling us. We know it's not true for everybody. And so I think that you need to be grounded in your own self-worth and be able to represent that clearly, without being defensive about the way in which you have added value. So I want to encourage you all that we are reaching our time here. We have reached it. If you'd like to stay and chat with us for 10 or 15 more minutes, please do. We're going to stay on the line, stay on the Zoom, and we're happy to chat with you further. But meanwhile, I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you for showing up. That was a great step to take on your own behalf. Thank you, John. Thank you, Roberta. Thank you, Jody, for your time and for your input and the content that you've offered this morning. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank
So-
you. And it's, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, if people have questions, should they just unmute and they could just speak with you now for